It's just different.
All this stuff. It's a lot of different things for different people. And the MarmaJ Foundation, right? That's what we're talking about right now. The MarmaJ Foundation, which is a nonprofit based in Canada that tries to leverage Web3 tech for social good. So, breaking that down, Web3, in my opinion at least, or in the MarmaJ Foundation's opinion, is just the ability to own digital assets, own the internet, own your data, own your identity potentially. The idea, I guess, of trying to own as much as possible, be self-sovereign and kind of choose what happens to those things that you own with full control, or as much control as possible. That's a kind of how I see it, at least. And so with that kind of ownership mentality, we try and see how we can kind of educate people how to efficiently, be in that mentality for social good. And social good is, again, a very high-level term, means very different things to many different people. And so I have my definition of social good, and that's kind of like coaching, supporting, uplifting others, helping others achieve their dreams or goals or aspirations in a way that uplifts others. So it's always kind of a way of building community, self-sustainable growth, and things like that. Our other co-founder, Bianca, she has a bit of a different to kind of signify who is in our community, and how do we kind of galvanize and come to consensus about what does social good mean to the MarmaJ Foundation. So that's kind of the idea here, is how can we kind of expand the definition outside of one individual, out of two individuals, co-founders, or even outside of the scope of a board of directors, but into hopefully thousands and thousands of people. So the total supply of the MarmaJ token is 21,019. And so this does not work like, shares of a company where you can only have then 21,019 people that can, interact with these tokens. Someone can have half of a MarmaJ token or a quarter of a MarmaJ token. And so here is like a little iframe of Ref Finance, which is a decentralized exchange, and you can see how you can have like 0.001 MarmaJ tokens, and you can see that that's worth around 0.006 cents or 0.006 USN, which is supposed to keep its peg to the US dollar. So lots of different things happening, but the idea is we can always look back and start digging into the how well we're doing with our token distribution, with impacting, the world with social good. Are we actually doing a good job? What's actually happening? So this is Pikes Peak. This is an analytics dashboard, and this allows you to look at a lot of different data within the near ecosystem. And I think they're going to Aurora as well, so they have an Aurora section here that's coming soon, right? Not there yet. You do have to pay for this specific service, so it isn't free, but it's pikespeak.ai. And you can kind of just see an overview of everything that's going on. But what I'm trying to look at right now is the tokens, for example. So what I use this for specifically is to make sure I can look at the MarmaJ token and start really knowing, I guess, how many people are we impacting with this token. And so yes, there's some financial metrics, okay, so there's the market cap, total supply, those numbers don't change. Total supply doesn't change. Market cap changes, but that's just, based on market dynamics. What I think is very interesting is, first of all, how many holders there are. So how many different near accounts have interacted with the MarmaJ token and actually hold it. So, there's 21,000 tokens and 1,000 people have interacted with it. To me, that's pretty cool. How many transfers? 13,000 transfers. Now, a lot of those are arbitrage trades and all that kind of stuff, but there you go. And then here's where we see kind of a breakdown of the holders of the token. And this is where we have quite a skew at the moment. It's probably 2,000 or 3,000 a day usually. And so you can kind of get a price graph, You can look at like the past 7 days, the past 14 days, the past 30 days, 90, 180, and then the past year. So what I think is super cool is our token's been out for more than a year. And so when, you can actually get a year of trading history. Now the volume was broken on CoinGecko for quite a while. It is still broken on CoinGecko. But when you hit max, you can kind of see, our token was out from before the 17th of September, but I think it's pretty cool that we have almost a year of data on a public, dashboard. That is cool to me. And so this, the public price was actually correct. So on the 19th of September, again, generally accurate, the price of the MarmaJchan was actually around $17. The all-time high was actually, around $20. And then, we kind of had a downturn. We were up at 16 with near, dropped with the market, and kind of correlating now with ST near. Hopefully on a leg up, we'll see. But again, not financial advice, but again, this is what I kind of see. You can see how it correlates with ETH. Again, I find this interesting because MarmaJ correlates heavily with near and slightly with kind of ETH a bit. And so you can kind of see how when near correlated heavily off of ETH, so did MarmaJ. And you can kind of see over the past few weeks, ETH has been going up more than MarmaJ has. But the sell-off recently of ETH has not been felt as hard with the MarmaJ token. So that's kind of where you kind of look at these details. And then BTC as well. I'll take out the ETH chart, but you can see again how Bitcoin might be considered less volatile than Ethereum, and MarmaJ might correlate similarly as well in some of these more shaky markets. We try and keep MarmaJ to be like near, but hopefully more volatile at times. Like it's easier to change the price, but when there's no huge price spikes, it should kind of general market dynamics should trend MarmaJ to always not move as far as ETH or near or any kind of big market token. And that's basically because we always have a good chunk of stablecoin liquidity or a relatively good chunk. And so if near is pumping really high, we don't feel the high as much. And if near is dumping really low, we don't feel the low as much. And so Bitcoin, we kind of have that kind of a less volatile kind of market, which isn't as good in some ways for trading. If you saw that, we don't worry about that too much. And you can kind of see, what's it called? Markets, so you can see where it's tradable. One of the main visual, creative, outward showcases from the MarmaJ Foundation is MarmaJchan. And I'm just going to make my screen a bit smaller again, just so that you can see all in one flow. But this is MarmaJchan. I've done quite a few videos on her in the past. We've been collecting MarmaJchan art in the MarmaJ DAO for many, many months now. I think around almost 9 months, or more. And so Bianca, a wonderful co-founder, kind of created this mascot and kind of gave the kind of idea. So I'll read it out quickly, and then we'll kind of go into how do people interact, what's the point, and how does the MarmaJ DAO interact with this subcategory to then what's the future, what's the plan. So MarmaJchan is an embodiment of love and positivity. She is a Web3 artist and developer who uses Web3 technology to support her community and the projects that she is passionate about. She loves dogs, hotcakes especially, hanging out at the beach, and socializing with her friends. She and NearChan are great friends. So NearChan is the OG, cannot ever kind of, stop, not talk about, you can't talk about MarmaJchan without talking about NearChan, in my opinion anyways. So this is the OG. This is kind of where I got all my info from and kind of said, hey Bianca, we should do this for MarmaJ. And she was like, okay, I got you, and then made the MarmaJ version. Okay, so, these are the OGs. They have some cool stuff out here. They have NFTs, and they got a whole gallery and different stuff you can buy, and some cool stuff. So go check it out, near-chan.github.io, and you can share your favorite anime. And this is cool. This is pretty cool. And so for us, we kind of have, our official logos so artists can get started. You can download the style sheet. There's kind of it was a competition, draw MarmaJchan in your style, which led to, we have fonts as well, of course, you gotta have fonts. But that led to the creation and the collection of, oops, I'm not gonna log in, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, when I say hundreds, every time I do this, I think people are actually a little bit like, I didn't know that there were this many cards. And this is just on one platform. This is just on Paras, and these are just the cards that are tagged to MarmaJchan. So there are more than these, because some of them aren't tagged correctly, and some of them, whatever else. But yes, there are hundreds, because the MarmaJ DAO has collected over 200 NFTs of MarmaJchan specifically. And that's kind of a way, again, where we've distributed MarmaJ tokens, NEAR tokens, to community members around the world for supporting the community. And eventually we hope to kind of work at making it MarmaJ tokens, kind of hack at that, so that again, as users interact with the MarmaJ token, they are not just kind of going off and selling the token, and that's not really the point of the token. I know it's possible for people to go take MarmaJ and do the same thing, but the idea is if someone receives MarmaJ as a transfer, heavily influenced with, or heavily intertwined, I should say, with the Pixeldapps ecosystem. And so I'm not going to go through the whole Pixeldapps thing today, but I am going to talk specifically about crypto heroes and I guess the plans eventually, but kind of right now how the MarmaJ Foundation is already interacting with crypto heroes and how we've already been supporting it for like 9 months. It's been a long time, like so many months, 9 months, 8 months, 6 months. But what are some plans for the next 6 months? And how we're going to continue supporting this application for not only the MarmaJ community, but also the entire NEAR ecosystem. So in this game, it's relatively straightforward in my opinion, but I know it's not straightforward for everyone. So hopefully maybe this can act as an overall guide for how to get started with crypto heroes. So Ernest, if you want to like cut this up and make it that's great. I won't go through everything. I do have old videos about crypto heroes where I went through that stuff, but I will give kind of a quick overview of like what's going on here. So here I have my 3 heroes. I also have a Titan, which is an NFT loot box that I got a long time ago, which generates 1 epic item every 7 days. Okay. We'll get into what that all means in a second, but what's most important is you have 3 heroes. You have 3 crypto heroes. And these crypto heroes are different in that you have 1 knight, where you can see you have a knight's helmet, high health, not that high damage, not high crit and defense. Okay, cool. Then you have this wonderful mage over here. So you have a staff instead of a sword. You have like a crownish thing instead of a helmet, and you have like a robe as well, right? You can see that you have a lot of legendary stuff here, but honestly, it's kind of hard to. The high damage, of course. I mean, I have a legendary character. I think I have 5 legendaries, and I just didn't want legendary boots because defense dodge. I don't need it that much. But actually, maybe we'll do some stuff on this right now. I think I'm gonna have to actually. I'm gonna log into my ledger. Start with no gear, right? You have no items at all, and you have to get these items. And so there's 2 ways to do that. You can go into dungeons, right? So easy dungeon, 100% chance to drop normal loot, common loot. Great job. Medium dungeon, as you can see, this is the chances right here, 10% of rare, 9% common. Hard dungeon, which I can beat on this character, right? 1% chance of epic, which comes from the Titan every 7 days. So I can go into a hard dungeon and I have 1% chance of getting it every 4 hours. You can do the math. Or I can get one for free, arguably, for clicking a button and paying some transaction fees on Mir, which is less than a penny. Once every 7 days. So I do that every 7 days for sure, and I do not get very many from the hard dungeons, put it that way. And then hell, you can see the kind of the chances here. And it has a 12-hour cooldown. So hell has a 12-hour cooldown, 4-hour cooldown for hard, 1-hour cooldown for medium, and 30-minute cooldown for easy. So you go into these dungeons, you try and get some gear, you put it on, and it makes you stronger. Awesome. So it's like any other game, in my opinion, that you've played probably. There's a marketplace where you can say, hey, you know what? I want to sort by stat rank. I want to make my ranger stronger. Potential. I don't care. You know what? I want a weapon. Rank. I don't care what rank it is. I want it to be good. And let's search. And there was an error. We'll search again. It'll work. And we'll say sort upwards. So this is the best item currently being sold in the game if we're sorting by stat rank. But the item I have is currently better. So you can see currently a problem with the current game dynamic where I'm actually willing to spend some funds. I can actually afford the best item in the game, but there's no way for me to progress and advance. Okay, so there's one. I cannot go into the market and find a better item. If I go into the dungeon, we've already explained, 1% chance of getting that, very low, so I can just wait 7 days. So there's not really an incentive to keep playing. That's just the market in the dungeon, though. There's more to this game, which is super cool. Also the Forge. And so now with the Forge, you could take a rare item, and a rare item, and you have other chances now. So let's start somewhere more basic. So if you have a common item, and you have another common item, it is free to forge. 20% chance of being destroyed. Whatever, that's fine. They're free anyway. I mean, they're a bit useless in the game so far. 79% chance of being common, which a bit kind of slap in the face because, like, who cares? They're useless anyway. So you might as well just have, like, 50% chance of being destroyed, 50% chance of being rare, and I wouldn't care either way because commons are trash, right? We've already discussed that they're pretty much free. We get them from the easy dungeon every 30 minutes. They're not very useful after a while. And so let's forge, and let's see what happens. Let's see what would happen for a normal player if they took 2 commons, they spent an hour playing the game, spent like a few pennies in gas, and they went through this process, right? It took them an hour. Okay, another useless item, right? So from my standpoint, from a player, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm just gonna burn that again, anyways. Okay, let's go again. Okay, cool. Let's keep doing this, right? And so this is gonna. And then I kind of wanted to kind of go over at least where the research DAO comes from. So in general, the MarmaJ DAO, was meant to just be the research at creating this, sustainable on-chain community within a Web3 ecosystem, and we chose Near to do that in, and we were, moving pretty quickly, trying to break things, and it didn't matter too much because there wasn't many people relying on the MarmaJ DAO to do anything, and so as the MarmaJ DAO has started to expand and start to get a lot more people involved with what we do, we want to make sure that, yes, there's still a place for Chloe's research to happen, or for me to research and have fun and move fast and break things. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the MarmaJ DAO is this stable mechanism that's able to last for decades, maybe centuries, if it's even possible. If humans are even around for that long. But I mean, that's the goal, right? To try and create a robust system that lasts for as long as possible, and for as long as it's needed, right? So if it's only needed for 5 years or 10 years, then so be it. Then maybe it should kind of wind itself down, and what are the mechanisms for winding itself down, and what's the purpose for doing so, and all of that stuff should be discussed beforehand so it's actually possible for it to happen. MarmaJ Research DAO, and we have the MarmaJ Foundation. And so if you go to the MarmaJ Research DAO, you'll see there are 3 members. The members are the testing account, my personal account, and then the MarmaJ DAO. So not very many people actually interacting yet, But this is where we're going to have token-weighted voting. Is that, even for, so currently, every time I stream one of these videos, full transparency, of course, I request 8.19 MarmaJ from the MarmaJ DAO. So if I stream once a day, Monday to Friday, on average 20 videos a month, I request, I can't remember, it's like 100 and something MarmaJ for the month. And the generalized funding flow allows for council members on the MarmaJ DAO to request up to 219 MarmaJ a week for their initiatives that support the MarmaJ community. So that's well within the number. It's actually a lot less than the 219 per week. It's actually in the 219 per month category for contributors. And that's kind of the flow of how things work in general, though. And that's kind of the future of this. So MarmaJ, so Chloe.near will be requesting, or the MarmaJ Research DAO will be requesting the transfer from the MarmaJ DAO, the main DAO, to the sub DAO, MarmaJ Research, once a month for all these videos that I'm currently
Different.
MarmaJ Foundation, you will see MarmaJ.org, yes, our blogs, our DAO, our token, the gallery, MarmaJchan, all that stuff. You'll see our galleries, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Gitcoin, Panvala, lots of fun stuff. But you'll also see some physical stuff, right? So in Antigua, we're listed as a place of worship. We're open 24 hours, kind of, sure, not really. But the idea is we do try and ensure that we're always dropping frames. Staying true to our roots and showcasing that we are always remembering that our main focus at the moment, at least, is to make sure we're supporting our community in Antigua and Barbuda. And so as we go back, we always try and do different projects there, and that is going to continue to be happening. But the main project that's going to be happening in Antigua each year is hopefully going to be MarmaJchan. Okay. So MarmaJchan will not be at this place of worship in Antigua, but where it might be is at Canada Place. Here we go. So, Canada Place is the greenest multi-company complex in the Caribbean. Okay. Located in St. John's, Canada Place is a state-of-the-art $40 million investment into the Antiguan economy by business mandate and philanthropist Calvin Ayre. Okay, so it can house several companies, 600 people. There's a gallery, right, of beautiful things to see. Lovely. So, okay, obviously there's some leasing information. Now, I'm not saying that obviously it would be great for the MarmaJ Foundation to get some office space here, so it would be more reasonable for, again, bookable if we're having a conference, right? Having bookable boardrooms, having video conference facilities, having reception facilities, having catering, having printing services. Those might be things that if we had a small office there, we'd be able to then leverage for other hackers or conference attendees that come to this space. I've been to this space. It is a beautiful space, large car park, large place, rooftop terrace. Hackathon might look like at this conference. So January 1st, New Year's, we'll party to kick off MarmaJchan. After this party, we'll commence the hackathon. And so what are we hacking on? We're hacking on, dApps to support Web3 for social good. And an example we have is from last year. We kind of sponsored an open challenge where we knew that we were going to get $5,000 from the Near Foundation to support this challenge getting completed. But we were also putting up some MarmaJ tokens as well. So like $1,000 in MarmaJ which was around 70 MarmaJ tokens per each submission. So the idea here was that there's many ways to complete the same idea, and by seeing one person's submission, maybe early in the hackathon, you might get an idea for a different way to submit the same idea. And they're both valid, and they work together in the community. And so there might only one person that gets the 5,000 in-year tokens from the Near Foundation, but the MarmaJ DAO could distribute 3 or 4 different prizes, which could kind of grow the developer community in the MarmaJ ecosystem specifically. So, high level. And we actually had someone participate, which is super cool. So, Near Multicall, Schlaf, Lenart, back in those good old days, it was just them two. And they had a little GitHub repo that they contributed. They actually used their smart contract on testnet. And then they actually sent the transaction on the Explorer on testnet. So we can click this on the Explorer and see what the we will be kind of implementing open challenges similar to this on kind of boards similar to this. So what's the topic of the challenge track? What's the description fully? So it needs to have a full description. So how do you get started? How do you test it out? What are some docs? What are some custom called examples? HackMD stuff. What are the submission requirements? What's the judging criteria? What's the prize? Who's the sponsor? What's your URL? All this information. But what also came with this challenge was a full 41-minute video.
Hey everyone, Chloe Lewis here, founder of the MarmaJ Foundation and adoption specialist for Near Foundation, the community team. Today, I'm hoping to do a little overview video.
So yes, this was when I was an adoption specialist for the Near community, and so I was, helping to run this hackathon, and yeah, we'll go through a few seconds of it and just, I guess, hear. I'll kind of maybe 1.5x speed, and then these types of videos will exist for all of the challenges. So I'll go through it quickly.